Good morning, guys. Today is Tuesday. It is our 6th week of virtual learning, and this week we are working on comparing similar themes and topics between two texts. I wanted to start out this morning by saying that you do need to make sure that you did the Mastery Connect quiz from last week. You only had one instead of two. And the codes are on Google Classroom still. You need to make sure that you've gone in and taken that quiz from last week and that you have watched the video of me going over the correct answers. That way, if you did not make a 100, you can go back and see which answers were correct and why you missed the ones that you missed. Okay, so today we're starting on comparing themes and topics. I want you to take a second and I want you to look at the question on the screen and think of what your answer would be. What can two fictional or make believe texts have in common? Okay, so in my live class, I had some people answer, and some of the things that two fictional texts can have in common is that the topic can be the same, the theme can be the same, characters, settings, or even events can be the same. The most common is going to be theme. You're going to see stories that the lesson that you learn in one story is also taught in a different way, but it's the same principle in another story. Oftentimes, the character experiences the same type of things that are events in the story that teach them that theme or teach them that lesson, that moral. Okay? So today we are using two texts in order to compare them. And we'll know that we've got it if we can determine how the two texts are similar and how they are different. Okay? All right, so I'm going to read through this. I thought this was some really good information. Today we're kind of focusing on comparing the patterns of events in two stories. It says noting similarities and differences among events in various stories and myths will help you understand stories that are told in many parts of the world. I think the stories that we used the first time that I taught this skill was we read the two different versions of Cinderella. One was from one country, one was from another, and we noticed that those stories kind of changed a little bit. It says traditional stories come from different parts of the world, but many share similar patterns of events or the likely or expected ways things happen. One kind of story that follows a pattern is a quest. In a quest, a character goes on a journey to reach a certain goal, often to help other people. Myths that explain human behavior or ancient beliefs about nature also may share similar patterns. By comparing stories, events, and outcomes, you will gain a better understanding of the tales that you read. Okay, so let's look at this example that they give us. It says, as you look at the cartoons below, think about the story each one tells. How is the pattern of events similar and different? Okay, so in the first image here with the guy in the green, you have him touching the sun. And it says the villagers are tired of tall boys' constant bragging. And he thinks, I alone am tall enough to touch the sun. Okay, so they're all tired of him, talking about how braggadocious he is. Okay, look at the other image. Now, this guy is also touching the sun. His feet are lifted off the ground, but look at the villagers. They've changed in this image. Okay, it says the villagers are hoping she'll bring warmth back to the world. And she's thinking to herself, I alone can fly to the sun and bring back a piece of it. Okay, so those events are similar, okay, that both are saying that they can touch the sun. But the way that they are saying it changes the feelings of the people around them. Okay, so those two events were very similar. Okay, so it says, what have you learned about the pattern of events in the stories? What are the similarities and differences in the events of each cartoon? So it gives us an anchor chart that we could use here, or a graphic organizer. So in the story about the boy, if we go back, it says, I'm alone tall enough to touch the sky. That's what happens in the beginning. But by the end, the villagers become angry at the tall boy's foolish ways. I guess in the middle somewhere, it would kind of say that he's bragging and saying it over and over and over. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at this skill. So the skill that we're working on today is RL49, which is comparing themes and topics. Okay, and this is the first text that we're going to read. I am going to go ahead and stop the video before I do. That way it's easier for me to upload to YouTube. So that was video 1.